Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Before I introduce our co-host, here's a quote just for this episode. Already started out with a lie because it's not just for this episode.
Mm,
Something we cannot see protects us with something from something we do not understand. The thing we cannot see is culture in its intrapsychic or internal manifestation. The thing we do not understand is the chaos that gave rise to culture. If the structure of culture is disrupted unwittingly, chaos returns. We will do anything to defend ourselves against that return. Today, I'm
mm.
joined by the one and only Vinnie Candelore Jr. We've been
What's
on
up,
this
man?
journey. What's up?
Dude, we have been on a journey.
This is the eighth. For those that
I
haven't listened, that don't know what's happening right now and are still thinking about what exactly was that quote about and why is Jay saying that he's lying? We've been on an eight part. This is the eighth, I think, the eighth.
I think we've lost count at this point because I actually asked Jenna to send me back the recording so that I could work through this Peterson painting. And there's like the last one you sent me said episode 6, and I said, "Hey, I only have 5 here." And she was like, "Well, I think you guys have only done 5." So this is either episode 8 or 6. We don't
It's
know.
definitely
Irrelevant.
more than five. But this is exciting because
Yeah.
it's even that interaction, the chaos and the order of
Yeah.
Jenna saying it's five, I'm saying it's eight. You're in
Right.
between. You are Horus in between chaos and order, attempting to navigate and journey through
Yeah.
unknown. So it's a perfect, and we'll get to the bottom of this. But for those that
It's
don't
great,
know,
dude.
we are in the midst of a series around a painting, around a visual representation of Dr. Jordan B. Peterson's work over the decades. And Vinny is a steward of light and discovery in this process, being the artist, navigating through the content and the concepts that have driven Dr. Jordan B. Peterson's work, his and have presupposed arguably the infamy and fame and rise of this great psychologist. So we're doing this series to work on a painting that's being presented to Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. Vinny's an accomplished artist and entrepreneur and friend to the Culture Matters podcast. Thanks for coming back. And by the end of
Thanks
this
for having
episode,
me.
I promise we're going to nail down which one this is.
I can't make that promise.
It's my second lie of the episode.
Yeah. Starting off great.
Where
Man,
are you in this experience and what have you learned about yourself so far from
oh,
working on these strokes?
stroke game's good, dude. I'm uh I'm learning about myself, learning about myself. Um, I mean, that's a loaded question. Where am I at? I'm wrestling through um the rules. I'm wrestling through Peterson Academy while I'm doing these paintings. I'm revisiting the first episodes from this series that we did, which have me wanting to not release any of them because they're so vulnerable and like raw. Like the viewer in this series really has watched um me as an artist go through something, in my life. We we are constantly evolving and constantly, you know, um, looking to do new things always as an artist. There's always like new ideas, new, you know, like when I'm in the middle of a project, usually that's when I get more ideas for other projects. I mean, same thing with business. It's like, you're in a business, you get another idea for another business, you get like, it's easy to jump around. And for me, this is probably the longest process that I've worked on a piece. You know what I mean? From usually once I get the idea, I'm like, let me get in there and just
By the way, I'm
knock
taking
out a
notes on
painting.
my computer, so I'm listening to you.
Right. Appreciate
I
that.
want to say that because I'm going to be looking like I'm looking away.
All good. I appreciate that. Um, Yeah, so like doing this painting, there's been an overall concept in mind that I've had since we had I think it was episode 3 or 4, which again, I'm not going to try to um, figure out what number episode these conversations were, but we
It's
talked about
8.
the we talked about the bridge and like the truck and the bus and things coming across the bridge. And again, it's like my interpretation, our shared interpretation, and what we came to. So I've been wrestling with like, how do I communicate this painting in a moment to somebody that he's probably not going to understand the full conversation that we had to lead to this piece. And so um maybe I think too deeply into that. And then I was even texting Jenna and I said, there's this voice in my head that's telling me, because for so long I've like put my value as an artist in like how technical I was at being a painter. Like, I would look at abstract pieces. I would look at things that aren't, they're more expressive, you know what I mean? And I'd be like, there's not as much skill to that versus a portrait or something that's photo real, where it's like, okay, there's like a real learned skill there that like, it's does that make sense? Allowing myself to do these paintings uh and not try to impress somebody, but truly just tell the story of how their work makes me feel is a challenge for me, because I get like this nervous energy where I'm like, I'm going to give this to them and they're going to think I'm not really even a good painter because I didn't paint a portrait of their role model, or like, something that like takes a lot of skill to do. Not that this doesn't take skill, because like I said, the skill in these paintings, and maybe this is what I'm trying to say, isn't the technical ability, which it is, don't get me wrong, there's still elements to these paintings that are like, I take for granted my extensive history as an artist that has made this easy for me. But the work of figuring out the painting has been the part to me that has been so rewarding, because there's been like so much self-discovery in figuring out how to convey this message in a fleeting moment when you present this piece to him, because it has to encapsulate. It's like, for the last few years we've been working in social media a lot, and there's like the collaboration post became a thing, right? And it's like it shows up on my account, another business's account, and another person. Like you could have 4 or 5 people on a post, and that caption needs to make sense to show up to all 4 or 5 people's audiences. Does that make sense? Like I can't do a collab post with you and be like, you know, working on a painting, because then your audience sees that and goes, wait, did Jay type this caption? Did Vinny type this caption? Who's actually saying that message? Same thing with this piece where I'm painting it, you're presenting it, and it's going to someone else. This to me is like, how do I capture all of that energy where I may not even get a chance to fully explain that piece? And I guess that's part of the beauty, is that it's up for interpretation, right? Um, but yeah, I mean that's kind of what I've been wrestling through. It's like all those thoughts.
What role does intuition play, if at all, with the technical aspect? And
Yeah.
how can how can your battle with it seems like there's a battle between you and the other, quote, air quotes, like you said,
Hmm.
how others' expectation of the work.
Yeah.
Artist, other. There's a
Hmm.
wrestling there.
No doubt.
How well you wrestle that, what relationship does that have with intuition?
Yeah, there's so many things that I want to paint that I go, well, there's then you got to take into the context that, like, this is for an event. This is something that this isn't a gift from me to the person. This is a collaborative gift on behalf of a group of people. So this has to be a message that, you know, people are going to co-sign this message. You know what I mean? And so, like, I, as the artist, have to take that into consideration. So my intuition is
Hmm.
um is important in these realms because that's what they're entrusting me to bring to the table. The person doing the painting, that they've said, hey, we trust your vision as the creative, but you got to be careful to not take that for,
How much of role
granted.
does the intention of the gifter, their intention, their agenda, their genuineness influence the artist's work?
I think in this kind of scenario where there's a public audience, or there's other people in the room, like, I'm doing a painting right now for a person, and I'll leave them nameless just for the you know um they hired me to do a painting as a gift for a family. And that family, their little boy, 8 years old, he drowned. um Tragic, like, heartbreak. Like, I have no words for what that family is going through. So this pastor reaches out, and it's like the 1 year anniversary of that happening, and he wants to go to their house, check in on them, and you know he wants to gift them with a painting. And so I've worked through that with him, because the original concept was to paint, like, the family, like, find like an AI generated version of the family where it just was like, it was a good, thought, but, like, when I leaned into it more, I had to put myself in the family's shoes, because if I'm the family and I lose, my son, I don't want a painting of him in my house of us three, and it's like this symbolic thing where, like, maybe he, because I think the original concept was that he would be, like, in the clouds or something. And, like, I had to wrestle through that, because I'm like, okay, if I'm this family, man, like, I don't want to display this painting and have to, like, be forced to talk about that every time someone comes over and goes, what a beautiful painting. I worked through that with the pastor that's presenting that gift and said, what if we do something a little bit more symbolic that doesn't really, like, fully represent that, so that if somebody comes to the house and sees a beautiful painting, and it's like the one behind me, right? Where if that person is at their house and says, like, what a beautiful painting, now I have the power to say, like, oh yeah, thank you, you know it's a beautiful piece. Or I can say, do you want to know what it's really about? Do you know what I mean? Like, now it gives that family the power to choose when to have that conversation, rather than to have to enter that thought process when they
Genius.
might be having a day where they don't want to talk about it because they, spilt their coffee at and like, they're already having a bad day. You know what I
I could
mean?
think of it like if 13 or 14 items in our home are from 13 or 14 previous ex-girlfriends, and
Yeah.
their names are on stamped on. How many arguments am I going to get on a daily basis with my
Yeah.
wonderful, brilliant, hardworking wife?
Yeah. Yeah. Your current wife
And I'll
doesn't
do
need
it
to
one
know
even
that.
better. I've thrown out all of those items. Jenna,
Yeah.
I make like that the comedy, right, reveals truths we either are
Yeah.
unable to articulate or cannot. So I'm going
Yes.
to attempt to. You were thinking steps ahead of if stranger comes in, or if friend or comes in the house and sees a symbol that could spark that experience, that person now unwittingly, if the structure of culture is disrupted, was culture, the walls of protection. That's their story. That has to do with their identity that was taken from them as a consequence of the randomness of nature. If the structure of culture, and now you've grieved, you've gone through it, you've maybe worked through it, God willing, because not everyone does or maybe can.
Yeah,
You've moved
I don't know
on.
how.
If the
Yeah,
structure of culture is disrupt, but so the structure of culture has come back. They've reoriented themselves in a new story. They've grown from the experience. It's brought them closer to faith,
yeah,
to each other. They've taken tragedy and it's led to meaning.
mm,
And then this schmuck unwittingly puts a painting together that basically plasters a series of events that they have to relive every time somebody comes to the house and unwittingly is like, hey, by the way, oh shit, I didn't know your kid died
yeah,
versus something anyone could say, look through and say, oh,
yeah. And
that's a
again,
nice thing. And if they want one out of 20 couples that come by the house, they might say, because like maybe they have a connection to that couple that's where it could be healing for them to talk about it.
yeah,
They even if they're not thinking through this, right? This is like below the surface, below
right.
conscience. They're going to say,
Yes,
"Well, this is what happened." You wanted to
right.
give them that in your art.
Yeah, I want to give them power back that the world took from them. Like, and like that, and to
You're
go
not an
back
artist,
to
you're a rabbi.
art is a visionary process that like allows you to create worlds that don't exist for people in the like normal surface level thought process. And um the original thought of doing that painting, when you really boil that down and like putting the kid, it's a wholesome thought of like, I want to honor this family. So like I don't want to like, I don't want to say that that idea is like fully surface. It's just the start of the conversation, because like, that's the importance though of your intuition as an artist, because you see a little bit down the road when it comes to stuff like that, because it's not just about the piece, it's about what that piece does for somebody.
Well, I want to pinpoint on something. I think even more important than just your perspective on how or what influence you could have on how they reorient themselves in the world. What about the scenario? Like, let's set aside the content for a second, because I'm sure someone real sharp with a different lived experience could attempt to make an argument for the opposite
Sure.
content from a content standpoint. But what about this? What do you think it means, or what could it mean if you were to just do, if you had the thought that you had and the vision and the belief that you just shared with us, and rather than moving in that direction, you just did what the person asked
I've done that.
and repressed your intuition or
Hmm.
rule 3, do not hide unwanted things in the fog.
Hmm.
What then? And how
You're
does that
asking
relate to,
what
you said you
yeah,
did that in the past, so
yeah,
w-
yeah, what how does that play
what would
out,
how,
or
how do
what's
you
your
rationalize it?
yeah.
Why? What are some of the pressures that lead to that? I think that is important because I don't whether yeah, that's my curiosity.
Yeah, that's the journey of the entrepreneurial side of being an artist and a creative that is grueling, that makes most people stop. It's the commission projects that you're not established enough as a um people see the gift before they see the um people see the skill before they see the like gift. So like and maybe I have that back. I need to think about that. But like what I mean by that is people knew I could paint football players. People knew I could paint, you know, because there's no thought that goes into that. It's just looking at a photo and recreate. I'm a human printing press is what it feels like. People see that and go, okay, I can take a photo of this and have it painted over here, and now it's a meaningful thing. And a lot of artists go, okay, well, that's a way for me to make money getting good at what I'm passionate about, which is painting. Because when I'm doing this 40-hour painting of Sidney Crosby or whoever the athlete is of choice for someone's man cave in their basement, like I'm thinking about my life. It's 40 hours of just staring at something, and it's the mirror. Like each canvas is genuinely like a mirror. Like it's blank. Where do I start? Well, and then I think about while I'm starting, like I think about the colors. I think about past experiences when I've done a painting like that. And then when I'm thinking about that past experience, my time in college it takes you through your life. And so you develop, if you don't do those projects, you actually don't develop the like ability to then insert that thought, um and not feel like you're full of shit when you say, hey, we should not do the painting of the kid in the
But
clouds.
is it, I think, how is something art if it's commodity? That's a contradiction of terms.
I think that's one
Artists
of the
live on
first
the edge.
yeah, I think that's one of the first conversations that you and I have had.
Peterson breaks this
Yeah.
down actually in
Hmm.
rule 8. Try and make one room in your home as beautiful
Mm,
as possible. And he talks about the artists. He talks
mm.
about the role that artists play in society and how they live on the edge. And part of our responsibility as individuals in pursuit of meaning and truth, as opposed to some deconstructive, reductionist, materialist, nihilistic, hedonistic, sinful, short-term oriented, selfish, narcissistic, Machiavellian, psychopathic,
What?
capitalistic,
What?
socialistic, totalitarian, ethic, evil, queen,
Dude,
authoritarian, tyrant, ethic. Dude, I've been reading this shit too much.
drop a beat underneath that and you have a whole song right there. That was just like a Kendrick Lamar, right?
JBP.
Yeah.
We need you in our life to get it out of strife. I'm not a rapper, dude. I don't know.
That was
Get out of
well
strife
done.
so
Well
that we
done.
can date our wife and live. Well, rule number 10, plan and work diligently. Anyway, so
I love that. That was
don't take this
incredible.
too
Thank you.
literally. Yeah. So, oh
That's
wow,
part
Jake
that's
can
part
rhyme
of
like a
it too.
seven. I
Yeah,
do
that's
want to
part of
shut
it too.
up. Calhoun this morning was reading one of the excerpts that I wrote for him in his culture puzzle, and he goes, "Is this Chinese? You're right. I say it was the funniest thing, and it makes sense because you know him. He goes, "You write like a 24th grader." And if you know Calhoun, because it's like a bit hyperbolic, like aphoristic, I'm a big student fan of Nietzsche, like many of our listeners that know JBP. But so rule 8. Oh. I was going somewhere before I totally digressed there, which
Sorry.
was Dr. Peterson is teaching us in this series to that we want to live on the edge. And the artist, people that have been called to what you do as a reflection of who you are and are capable of becoming, they live on the edge. The function of the artist is to help us see. But what if
Yeah.
the artist is a liar?
Mm,
Peterson is telling us, is urging us to live on the edge in the sense of to have courage and to be brave and to have an aim and to aim up, making a value judgment there. And hey, you should aim up
Hmm.
so that you don't fall into the abyss. Right? To be courageous, to be brave, to live on the edge, to voluntarily embrace life's suffering, to speak up when it's easier to say nothing.
Mm.
In rule 8, try and make one room in your home as beautiful as possible. I'm going to find this. I wanted to ask you something. Oh. Before I find this excerpt, the intention, is it really a gift? It like I want to be I want to
Yeah.
define what a gift actually is.
Mm.
If I have an expectation of an outcome,
Hmm.
that is not a gift. That's like I'm is it a tithe? If I if I know I'm getting a return on my donation,
Mm.
that creates a contradiction. The
You're saying like
tithe,
the giving of the painting is not really gifting.
whether it's a painting, but we'll focus on the
Right.
painting as like an example, a painting
Right. Yeah.
gift, right? I want to think of what gift is. Is it, but I'll use it tithing.
Mm.
If I donate a penny,
Right.
if I give a penny, the difference
Yeah.
between
I
so
see what you're saying
capitalism,
here.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Capitalism, I give a penny. The reason Warren Buffett tells us as shareholders, I got the Berkshire Hathaway, my jacket I got this year from the meeting. Warren
Sick.
Buffett says, we're not going to give you dividends because as long as we can take a dollar and make another dollar out of it, if we invest it, it's a smarter business move. In capitalism, that's what separates capitalism from philanthropy. Capitalism, you got to make a return on your dollar.
Mm.
Philanthropy, as individual or an institution, you're not focused on the money back. You're focused on some type of outcome, like you're giving. It's not a knowledge expectation. There's a faith, there's a belief that more will come, but not in the form and not in the dollar for dollar. It's a different capitalism. I'm doing something, okay, I'm producing goods and services. I'm getting something back. I'm getting capital back, getting resource back. So what I'm trying to go with this is it a gift if I have an intention to get something? Like
Yeah.
capitalism is I'm giving money to get money back.
Right. It's a form of an investment at that point.
Philanthropy
Yeah.
is I am giving,
Right.
period.
Point. Yeah.
So if I'm get so this is what's coming to my mind from this whole thing about like when you're just like a meat shop
Yes.
and how I think the internal contradictions in art. Art
Hmm.
can't be a meat shop. That's not art. That's something else.
Right.
Because the purpose of the artist is to live on the edge and to discover and to explore and to help us
Right.
see. But if the artist is blind and
Yeah.
blinded by sin,
Hmm.
hamarte, Greek, to miss the mark. Well, you
Yep.
can't hit the target, and you're gonna miss the mark if your aim is all screwed up. You're not aiming out, you're aiming in. So, like for example, aiming out is I'm gonna give. Aiming in is I'm giving because I'm gonna get this. So I'm gonna send this
Hmm.
painting to whoever or give it, give air quotes to whoever so I can get this from them.
Right. Yeah.
I think that is so I would just want to challenge what a gift is.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's definitely not just a gift. I mean,
But
look, it,
for it depends on the gifter. For a certain type of like a person, this is where I think that the people that are commissioning, the commissioner and the artist,
hmm.
they're in a relationship,
Yeah.
and that has to be genuine, or
Yes.
else it's rooted in a lie. It's
Yes.
like um the intention behind the gifter influences the process of art.
100%.
So that was
Because
a long,
yeah, no, it's that it is that that is exactly the process. Like you did a much better job of describing why it's so grueling as an artist, because you do feel like a liar a lot. You feel like, yeah, is this like really like what I would paint? Or do I just want to satisfy the gifter who is commissioning this so that they will commission future things where maybe their motives aren't pure? So now I'm painting a world for them to live in their impurity by validating their thought process and capturing it in a painting so that they can present it and go, see, an artist also agrees with me. And like,
I think the whole thing's bullshit. Just straight up bullshit.
okay, what part of it?
Um, yeah, yeah,
The whole
uh,
thing.
there's a difference between, and yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like prostitution versus marriage. They
Mm,
both look, certain aspects look similarly from the outside. Money will be spent,
yeah.
you know,
So do you think the
intermingling could occur. But the difference between my relationship with this hired, with this service that's giving a certain product of existential alleviation momentarily from, a biological and psychological sense, short term, versus following Rule 10. Plan and work diligently to maintain the romance in your relationship. Dating my life partner, my wife, actually listening to all the things that she has to say that make me feel small and
Mhm,
less than. So paradoxically, I can grow into a big and strong and better, not being able to just get what I want at any given moment, like I would be able to with a product
mhm,
or an extension of my ego and my, all the fears and sit right. But to plan and work diligently to ritualize, to gather, to discuss, to share openly and be transparent. Yeah, I would. What I'm trying to, I think maybe we could liken this. One is a commodity, transactional, and one is a relational covenant, commitment. It's a pursuit of something true. It's a follow. So in the artist sense, I would argue that if I'm you and I am making a painting to pursue my truth, the truth. Like here's an excerpt I found on page 216 from Rule 8. Quote, artists must be contending with something they do not understand, or they are not artists. Instead, they are posers or romantics, often romantic failures, or narcissists or actors, and not in the creative sense. They are likely, when genuine, to be idiosyncratically and peculiarly obsessed by their intuition, possessed by
mhm,
it, willing to pursue it even in the face of opposition and the overwhelming likelihood of rejection, criticism, and
mhm.
practical and financial failure.
Yeah.
They are successful. They make the world more understandable, sometimes replacing something more understood, but now anachronistic with something new and better. They move the unknown closer to the conscience, social and articulated world. And then people gaze at those artworks, watch the dramas, and listen to the stories, and they start to become informed by them. But they do not know how or why. And people find great value in it, more value, perhaps, than in anything else. There is good reason that the most expensive artifacts in the world, those that are literally or close to literally priceless, are great works of art.
Yeah. I I mean, dude, like I've questioned my whole life why people pay me to paint. Like it's been a struggle for me to, yeah, it does feel like bullshit sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it feels that way. And I've never I've never been in a place where I'm in right now where I do feel like I feel like I'm closer than I've ever been to being able to just fully express my intuition through the canvas. Um, I've always been a people pleaser, so when you're a people pleaser, like it is bullshit. It is like, you know, it's not art. It's I mean, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But like,
I want to make sure the audience knows we're, this is my testimony for you. I believe in you and your art and you're genuine. If you weren't, in my estimation, I'm a student in this whole thing. I've been studying this book and the books and Peterson for 8 years, and I'm in the same boat as you. This is an exploration of, we don't know what, we don't have a script for this show. We don't know where we're going. I didn't know that I was going to read this. I believe in your art, so I want to make sure the audience knows that I'm not coming, and you, that
no, but I
what
mean,
what I what I'm
if I
saying
can't look at
is,
myself for what you just said, then I'm living in a delusion if I'm like, well, I'm not that artist. Like any artist that thinks that they aren't subjective to be, you know, thrown into whatever like persecution of their craft, that they aren't willing to stand on why they do it or like even reflect fully why they do it. They probably are the untruthful artist that you spoke of. Like if you're not even willing to look at that and be like, that might be me, then that's what this painting is. That's the bus, the driver of the bus coming at me. That's me in the bus. That's me, the artist that's full of shit trying to just make a commission. That's me. That's what I'm telling you. This has been different in the sense that like I'm embracing that I'm okay that some of the people won't understand it. And that's really, really hard for me.
you know what, and I think it's easier for you than you think based on getting to know you. So I believe in you. I also think that I don't care. I'm not attached to what my concept of what it should look like. If it's a gift, the the expectation, if it's real, that's kind of all malarkey. It's not relevant. Um, I almost think even the idea that, is it really a gift? So if I if I share something, it's like a secret. If I tell someone a secret, there's a there's a bond, there's a responsibility in that, there's a trust, that there's a belief. It's a it's a now there's an alignment, there's a oneness. And then they go and they share it. Well, that's a break. Now it's not a secret if I share in front of a group. I'm thinking like if to give something that's unexpected to another in front of a group, who is it for?
Mhm.
Is it for them or is it for me? Now I'm putting the recipient in a position.
Hmm.
to lie,
Yes.
to be polite,
Yes.
and I would argue the very phenomenon of that occurrence reflects
Yeah.
inauthenticity,
Yeah.
reflects
100%.
outcome, reflects reason and strategy more so than feeling, intuition, faith, and relationship. I don't want anyone to know about my gift.
Hmm.
If they find out, I might feel awkward
Hmm.
because it's a gift. It's
Yeah.
between me and the recipient. It's just us. It doesn't have to mean anything to anyone else because
Hmm.
there is no one else involved. It's not about, as soon as we're involving everyone,
Yeah.
now it better mean something to everyone. So it's going to go to the lowest common denominator.
Hmm.
Like the most idiotic, sinful
Safe.
fool has to get it. Well,
Yes.
now it's just become a part of pop culture. Schopenhauer articulated anyone,
Yeah.
he who writes for the masses writes for fools. So
Hmm.
he who, draws for the masses for fools. In in the short term, if something's 2,000 years old, that's different because now all the fools are dead and enough
Yeah.
non-fools have lived. And okay, this is
Right.
art. This is like Michelangelo. Clearly
Right.
there's something there. So where I'm going with this is like the medium matters. I don't even want I I would be embarrassed, fraudulent, fake to present Dr. Peterson something that meant something to me that was for him. I wouldn't do it.
Mm.
Well, it's fake. The very fact of doing it is not real. It's not a gift. It's a albatross. It's a noose, and both our necks are tied together. It's a marketing. That's why, as a culture student,
Hmm.
what starts in culture necessitates marketability. What starts in marketing and is absent of culture falls inevitably. It's fake. It's a lie. It's not real. There's nothing underneath. There's no quality. There's no truth and competence.
Hmm.
A long way to say, I don't think you're alone. This isn't a conversation about this is not a conversation about an artist. This is a conversation about individuality and all of us, no matter what we do, are in positions to omit or to lie. Rule 8, tell the truth or at least don't lie every single day. And the pressures of mortgages and taxes and diapers, all of us listening, me, you, pressure us to go out to miss the mark, to commoditize ourselves, to lose the essence of why we started what we started and who and what value we actually bring and lose ourselves in the process. All of us can relate to this. That you're saying the artist that's commercial, right? That someone values what you're doing and they want to leverage that to bring value to their life and those others around. They can unwittingly be going about it all the wrong way, and it's up to the artist to correct them.
Hmm.
Hey, you know, putting a baby in a pool might just be a stupid fucking idea. Your heart's in the
Hmm.
right place. I don't think it's the right thing. And hey, there might be another artist that has a better argument for why it's a great idea, and they get to decide who they use.
Right.
But you told the truth based on how you
Right.
saw it.
Yep.
So now you're not a loser.
Yeah.
That's the
Y-
lesson for me
Yeah.
because I can be a
100%.
loser in my line of work every day by
Yeah.
not, even on the show, right? Not saying any of this.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel, I believe that I
I
can
made a decision
be,
on this show. I don't want to give the painting in front of 1,000 people. I want to give it behind the scenes or not do it at all, or just have
yeah,
it in my house.
let's just burn it. Let's
Like I
just
would,
burn it.
well, that might be like the devil worship or something,
Yeah, I don't know.
but like it took.
Yeah. Well, this is why, so Jay, this is why I love you, because that has been my struggle throughout doing this entire process. And usually in my life, when I get to this point, the person goes, listen, buddy, I'm paying you to do the fucking painting. Do the fucking painting so that I can have the moment. And like, I'm like, okay, like, let's do that. And I've always struggled with that. It's not just a gift for a person on a stage if, like you said, there if there's like something you're looking for in return. It's like it's it is now here's the thing. Doing the whole thing, you could regress down to that too and be like doing the entire event, doing the entire like podcast is not just, this is a free podcast. Well, what do you want? You want subscribers, you want followers, you want people to connect so
I
that you
tell
can
the
meet.
audience all the time, I want you to live vicariously through my success, accomplish nothing.
Yeah,
Listen to this so much
yeah,
that it's
yeah.
like the Matrix. You're in a pod and I'm the
Yeah,
robot
dude.
flying around, feeding off of your energy.
Yeah,
That's absolutely what I want if I get what I want.
yeah.
But
So,
now,
dude, so
is it
that,
though? Well, maybe in my nature it is that I'm trying to
yeah,
surpass nature. I'm be supernatural and say, hey, maybe 10% of the schmucks do 90 hours a week and listen. Maybe or 80%, 10%, they listen 1 hour and they go out
hmm,
and build the world. But of course, of course.
yeah. So it's
I
like
don't know how many people are going to follow me. I don't want any followers. I don't think I should want any followers. I think I should try to. That's one of the paradoxes of power, right? The desire to want followers could lead one to pursue it, but the responsibility that is innate to the role. So one doesn't abdicate responsibility when they need to be in that position the most, when they have authority, influence, and power. That's not someone that's seeking followers, seeking power. That's someone that is seeking truth, seeking the spirit of the artist lives in every leader.
mhm,
Like they're seeking what is right. They're following good.
yeah, and that's
And the good person can become corrupt. This is Osiris and this is rule 4, but notice that opportunity lurks where responsibility has been abdicated. Osiris, the wise king, stopped paying attention, stopped doing what got him there, and was killed by his evil brother Seth. And his son had to come and fight Seth and regain the culture. But Osiris stopped paying attention. Well, this is the question I have for you and me and really everybody. Uh, how can we pay attention if we're not following our conscience, if we're not saying what we think to our customers, if we're not pursuing truth? Is there a middle ground, Vinny? Can you paint something that's been commissioned? I think that was a question you were in, or it was implicit, and you're like, hey, we can regress everything. I think, well, I hope you can, because that would be an argument for why capitalism can be good. Adam Smith talks about that in The Theory of Moral Sentiments, his second book. That's not really the Wealth of Nations is more popular, but the Theory of Moral Sentiments, Adam Smith talks about that. That's his whole book. It's like, how do we actually do capitalism in a way that that makes sense for us, for all of us, the winners and the losers. So I want to just say my opinion is I think you can, but it depends on who you're doing it for and what their intention is, how well you advise them. However, that's got to be a percentage of what you're doing. It can't, that's different than totally exploring. That this is why artists are so broke.
Yes.
And I'm saying like that's not a bad thing. True entrepreneurs are broke too until they're not.
Hmm.
That isn't an entrepreneur anymore. That's an enterprise that the society can eat, through debt and equity and blah blah blah. But yeah, all visionaries are broke. They're broke. They're broken.
Hmm.
They're broken enough to envision a future bigger than them.
Hmm.
If they weren't broke, they wouldn't have vision. Broken and broke. It's like the broke materially reflects the psychological
Yeah.
break. Broken lead. Come on. In the absence of brokenness, why the hell would anyone get out of bed? Why would Abraham leave the tent? Well, I guess because God, that's where God comes. He's like, get the hell out of bed and go to this city. Or
Yeah. Yeah. Why do we do anything?
what I'm trying to say is my personality, I don't want to give the thing and everybody sees it and like
Yeah. You won't. Yeah.
and force somebody to like
Like it. Be
to
kind.
lie to
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
I'd rather, and I would say something like that with somebody like a Jordan Peterson would invert because he's so educated and honest. He would see right through that and be like, this is a bunch of bullshit. Now, his personality, he's more amiable. He's with his wife to protect him. Uh, he'll be polite. According to my personality test, I'm a 1 out of 100 in politeness. So I might say, I don't like this. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm not, and that's not the right, I don't know what the right thing is. I have a lot of issues. So, but no, I've been paradoxically like overly amiable and let people take advantage of me and hurt me. And I've been hurt and a lot of people that
Yeah.
tell me, they say you're not impolite. It's in spots, and they're very agreeable. And like I've learned how to do that to survive too. It's at some degree, and that's made me a coward and a liar and a loser and a fraud and a narcissist and a fake and a bitch. And I'm not talking about beautiful, integral, trustworthy, caring, and healing. I'm just talking about a little coward. And I don't want to be that. So we're doing this show.
Yeah. Dude, I love you. Like
I love
I
you
love.
too. I feel like I'm bad a little bit because I feel like I'm like um uh, kind of talking at you. I don't mean to do that. I'm mostly just projecting because I'm like trying to work through this right now myself.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. Um, yeah, I feel like what you're expressing is the battle every time I've sat down at a canvas for something like this that goes through my head, and then I go, I see kids like, dude, the other thing, the pain and the brokenness that, turned me to the canvas to begin with was very real. You know what I mean? So like, um, like when my dad passed away, okay, I painted a picture of him the night that he passed away. And that felt authentic in the moment. But then once people started to see that I was doing it because they were coming over to my house, it became this thing where it wasn't for me anymore. And then I started to hate doing the painting because I was like literally just just trying to like to numb myself through something that I knew I could do well. I knew that at the beginning of the pain, like, obviously I was 24 years old at the time. So like I didn't even know who I was. I still don't know who I am. I'm still working through that. But like it's I'm a different person than I was that night when I did that painting. And that painting still hangs in my mom's house in her game room by all of his guitars. It was displayed at his funeral. Um, when I'm painting, it's if I can paint in the midst of that, feeling that, and wrestle through that, then figuring out how to get a a painting that somebody can give to somebody else, it's not that serious. It's just a painting. At the end of the day, like it's not. Now it could be the starting point or the ending point to a relationship. So like there's weight in it. But like at the end of the day, man, like I never started painting because I um I never started painting because I thought that I would like work through my own, you know, things with it. I just thought I was good at it and I got praised for it. That was why I started it. Like in elementary school, I'd do drawings of Pokemon characters and people would give me their gummy snacks for their lunch. And I'm like, oh, this is a business. You know what I mean? Like from a young age, I was like, if I do a drawing, I get Scooby snacks, like blue Scooby snacks.
Hmm.
Except, like, I don't know if you ever had the blue specific
No,
Scooby snack gummies, blue ones, the opaque ones. Great,
we might
great
change
stuff.
our whole payment structure. Now I'm just going to get paid in Scooby snacks or advisor.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And like I learned early, like elementary school, that like, okay, I'm good at this, and people give me stuff for it. And I like doing it. And so I'm like, man, that's what to me what it was like, that's what life's about.
Well, that sounds like a calling.
You enjoy it, people give you stuff for it, win-win. And then you start to realize that when it's not for gummy snacks anymore and there's more things involved, you start to like stress. You don't enjoy the process as much. And then it's like, well, why the fuck am I even doing this? Because I started doing this because I enjoyed the process. So every artist strives for that moment in their career or their life or whatever where they can just enjoy the process and surrender the outcome of the piece to like um fully lean into their intuition of like, yeah, this person has blue hair, but like I'm gonna paint it purple. And this dude, I don't know. And it's
No, I think that, but I think this is where Peterson urges us to accept that life is suffering,
mm,
accept that the meaning is is a consequence of the through the working through of the internal conflict relative to the external conflict, meaning things go unexpectedly in that process and how we relate to the unexpected, right? Like, do we not keep our word to ourselves and others, or do we keep our word to ourselves and others when the thing doesn't go expected and we have to work an extra hour or right or
mhm.
sleep less? It's
Yeah,
it's 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 how we relate to
yeah,
those unexpected and
yep.
respond to the accountability of the randomness of nature that actually leads to meaning. It's the taking on voluntary suffering. It's the telling a client, hey, this isn't going to be undone on time because I've not been able to get it done.
Mhm,
Like I want to challenge the thing about that there's almost like there's this point in time where any of us, it could be just a bias of you know what that paradisal or utopian concept lives in all of us at some degree. Maybe it's a necessary ideology to even strive. It's like, oh, someday things will be easier. But what if they never are, and they never should be?
Hmm.
Peterson teaches us about how Dostoevsky talked about if everything was perfect, we would just find a way to tear it down and tear it apart.
Hmm.
So I just want to challenge that idea that, or yeah, how we work through the process is what makes it meaningful and what makes us stronger to handle more. And that is the whole thing.
Hmm.
At least this is inherent in his argument of human nature, the maps of meaning, taking on voluntary suffering, aiming up, taking on
Hmm.
responsibility, the rules,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
rules, the stand up straight with your shoulders back, treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping, make friends of the people that want the best for you, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Do not let your children do things that make you dislike them. Put your house
Yeah.
in perfect order before you criticize the world. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient.
Hmm.
Tell the truth or at least don't lie. Assume that the person you are listening to knows something you do not. And so on. I don't need to just go through all the damn rules. Like, oh, yeah, I've memorized the rules. Dang those things.
They hit
Um,
though.
but it's quite literally these are the rules that I've been following reading and writing down, thinking through like and trying to learn from. And this is what Peterson is making an argument against what the culture may have influenced in our minds to think that it's supposed to get easier and we're not just supposed to get better. Come on, Michelangelo, he
Dude.
had to like struggle like a wacko for
Oh,
20 years to finish his shit.
yeah. Yeah. The greatness, there's literally nothing great about playing it safe. There's nothing. There's nothing long lasting that like will come from it. It'll all be fleeting. It'll all fade away. And
But
like,
I want to acknowledge you because if I learned this in his course on the Peterson Academy, it was personality and transformation, I think. Um, no, I'm sorry. I think it was. But it's a theme.
mhm,
Is discovering our gift. Like it's a discovery. The things that speak to us,
mhm.
they speak to us. They pop out to us. We pursue. So you're saying as a young child, you were doing something like it came to you, it came through you,
Yeah.
and the market was saying, "This is who you are. This is your gift to us."
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
you're
From
supposed to pursue that. I was always this Jay.
hmm.
Like when you were saying that was making me think about my childhood. It's like I was always helping,
Hmm.
like more of a positive, trying to lift somebody up. It's like, well, why? Well, that's an interesting thing to figure out, but it is what it is. So if you were that young and you were being, now, okay, the question becomes, how do we not sell out?
Hmm.
But I want to acknowledge that. I mean, if that goes that way back then maybe you were discovering something. I mean, he has taught us in his lectures on the Peterson Academy how important it is for people to discover their calling, to discover like whatever
Hmm.
sticks out to us.
Yeah. I think I take that for granted. I take for granted that people can become artists later in life, and it is bullshit. And it is for, it's like it's an escape. It's like art can be an excuse to be an asshole and like make money doing it. And for me, I literally have been making no money doing art my whole life. Like I didn't sell a painting until, or any piece of art until I was, shit, dude, 20, 22. But I had been drawing since I was in elementary school. I had an uncle who had like he had like this, he had polio, and then like I never got like the full story of like his health conditions, but I know that he had something going on, and he was an artist, and he was unbelievably, you know, talented at his craft. He painted football players. And so growing up, he lived with my grandfather. I'd go to my grandparents' house every weekend and sleep over. We'd wake up, we'd go to McDonald's. That was my childhood. Like I'd sleep at my one grandparent's house on Friday night, and then my other grandparent's house on Saturday night. I lived there on the weekends, and I would wake up, or I would go there with my monster trucks
Mm.
and um, take the monster trucks, set them all up, paint them, draw them with my uncle who was an artist. He'd teach me how to like make them look realistic. And like he taught me how to paint at 4 or 5 years old. So like it was something special to me where I'm like, man, this is like life is good, man. Like I'm hanging out at my grandparents' house. Like I feel loved. I feel like life is just this limitless, blank canvas that I can make it. And I got this craft that I'm pretty good at, and I love doing it because I get to paint like things that I'm a 5-year-old kid. I love Gravedigger and Bigfoot Monster Truck. Like this is cool. I get to draw it. It looks cool. But like then progressing that into, okay, I'm gonna go to art school, and having my dad, who's a musician, back that. Meanwhile, he's a blue collar contractor, like, he's a carpenter. And so to have be the first person from a blue collar family who's like, we've worked for every penny that we've ever made, um, like with like grueling work. I mean, I was on those job sites with it like every weekend. Like if I was, when I got older, I was on side jobs with my dad. We're building stuff, putting roofs on houses. Didn't matter. Whatever the miscellaneous project he could get, he's doing. Whereas like, when he gave me that, hey, go to school and learn art. Like you can always fall back on the trades. You can always like, find a job in sales. You can always do these things. If you can figure out how to sell yourself as an artist, you could do anything. And so then it became a business. It was never like, let me be an artist because this is a quick way to make a quick buck. It was like, I'm going to do this art thing, whether I get paid for this or not, for the rest of my life, because I love it so deeply and it makes me feel alive. And so if I get paid to do this and do a project like this, then like, that's great. But if not, I'm going to do that's how I met you. I did a series of paintings
Wow.
of NFL players, not commissioned. I just said, all right, I'm going to do one painting a week for an entire NFL season, and I'm going to see what it leads to. And the reason I did that was because I was having a reoccurring dream where, because my football career ended short. Like I had dream, like I'm an all or nothing kind of person when it goes to like if I'm going to do something. And so when I'm playing college football in my head, even though I'm at a D2 level, I'm still going to find my way into the NFL. That's why I connected so deeply with Christian Kuntz, and like everything there was because he found a way into the NFL, and he like changed positions. He did all those things that like his nickname is Rare Civilian. Like he found a way to make his dream happen. And it didn't look like the way everybody thought it would look. So, and that that's like a whole nother story for another day. But like I appreciate that in people because it reminds me of myself where I did that series of paintings because that was for me. I didn't make it to the NFL because when I was in college, I had concussions, I had injuries, I had a lot of things that like, you know, weren't good, but like I had a poor mindset. I didn't know how to persevere through those things. And that led to me leaving football because my dad got sick. And then I turned fully from like being an athlete to being an artist. And so like that whole transition fucked with me. And I did a series of paintings that I didn't plan. I'm like, if I don't sell a single one of these, I don't care. This is me mourning my loss of the sport. I'm no longer an athlete. So like I was having these nightmares where I would be getting ready for a big game. Like I'd be in my high school locker room or my college locker room getting dressed. Like I had like all, all the gear on, like the wristbands, the gloves, everything. And as soon as the whistle would blow, I'd wake up. And it was so frustrating. I'd try to go back to sleep. I'd try to like I just want to play the fucking game. Like I just want to play the game. And so that series, I haven't had that dream since I did that series. So like it was a thing for me that led to a lot of opportunity as an artist because I was processing through my trauma of no longer being an athlete by painting athletes who were at the peak of their game. I called it the hymn collection because it was like whoever was the best player that week in my eyes, I painted them. I still have I'm sitting on 12 of these paintings probably still. I did 17 of them. I think I've sold, you know, maybe 6 or 7 of them. And I got to the point where I'm like, I don't care if these ever sell. Like that was never the goal for it. So when people ask me like, is the art that I'm making bullshit? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. I don't give a shit. I really don't care. I'm never gonna not paint. I'm never it's the first thing I did when I moved into my house was I in 2020 when I moved here, we were living at my mother-in-law's house, like trying to figure out paying rent in Charlotte, North Carolina. Like, I think I told this story. It's the painting behind me. It was on our New Year's episode with Calhoun and uh Andrew Berman. We talked about this. And I'm rambling here, but all that to say, like, it's why when like when someone, it's why when me as an artist is questioned, I get like really like I take it personally because for me it's like, those people weren't there when, my mom and dad like I grew up in a cemetery. I grew up in a cemetery because my mom worked in the house at the top of the hill. I mean, like an old story, like it's called Round Hill Cemetery. It's literally a mountain, and at the top there's a chapel and just a hill of graves. And I grew up in that house because she worked in that office. Families coming in every single day, mourning the loss of their loved one, picking out a grave site to bury them in. And I'm in the other room drawing football players with colored pencils. So like dude, I'm a 7, 8 year old kid, like just like in summer, I have no friends, total isolation on the top of a hill at a cemetery because my parents can't afford daycare. My mom's bringing me to work with her, and I'm just sitting in the other room listening to people cry all day or whatever. And I'm just like suppressing that by like putting on a Disney movie and drawing Winnie the Pooh. Like it was that's where the art made me feel like, okay, this is my escape. This is like how I can express all the things that don't make sense to me in life. And when I get to do this for something like this moment that you're talking about, I understand that there's no way I can fully articulate that to the person who's going to receive this. So I have to just surrender it to like let people think if they want to take the time like you've taken the time now, this might be episode 15. We don't even know. So like you've sat down with me. I mean, it's every time we've recorded this, it's
Eight.
been yeah, it's been like it's been early in the morning on a Saturday. Like there's other things you and I could be doing. There's other things you could be doing that are like beneficial for your life and for your business and for those things. But you've taken the time to sit down and be like, all right, if I'm going to give a painting, I'm going to understand the person who's doing it. And like, I'm so grateful for like if you literally got off this podcast right now, or like, I don't want to give him this painting anymore. I'm good, dude. This was everything to me because now there's another person in the world that understands that that painting I did isn't just a product that I made. There was like pieces of me that I wrestled through in this. As I'm listening to Peterson Academy, and he's, one of the series I listened to primarily the two that I primarily listened to were um, Sermon on the Mount and How to
Mm.
Plan Your Life. Those were the two that I listened to while doing this piece. So I'm wrestling through like how to plan your life. Jesus, dude, like it wouldn't be the way that I planned it. Like I'm like, okay, I'm not thinking about the painting, dude. I'm thinking about my life and like how I can use this for the greater good that isn't me necessarily. This is like, I believe in where you're going. I believe in the way that you tell the truth. So I want this to just be like part of your ability to continue to tell the truth to somebody through get. And I don't care if nobody knows that. I don't care if we never drop this fucking series. Maybe that's my insecurity because I said I listened to the first ones and I've been very vulnerable, and now you're on this one, and I'm like, does any of this make sense? Am I just like unraveling here on a podcast?
This will be the last show we ever do. I
Jesus, dude.
there's so much there that makes it's inspiring. I want the audience to know, to think about, we're doing this because I believe in this process. I believe in process. Abraham Lincoln said, if I have 6 hours to chop down a tree, I spend 4 hours sharpening my blade. This opportunity to have a conversation with Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, to interview and learn from him on stage, in person, with the people, with many of the people that I care about the most, after having worked with our client partner for years and years and years, and them wanting me to be the one to have this conversation.
What an honor.
It means it comes with great responsibility. So I've been preparing for almost a year, and all that's come from it is everything. The reason we
Yeah.
are so successful is because of that quality that I believe my cult, my family, and everyone, no, every mentor, every enemy, every negative experience, and whatever uh, my my genetic compilation
Mhm.
has led to, and the choice to be prepared, to work as hard as I possibly can on at least one thing and see what happens. This is part of the painting. Dr. Peterson may listen to all of these. I almost said will, but I think that's hubristic, but may. So this is the purpose. And for it to be a gift, it has to be real. For it to be
Mhm.
real, we have to pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Rule 7 in 12 Rules for Life. We have to tell the truth, or at least don't fucking lie. Here's a quote I want to share for this episode that I heard last night, rereading, re-listening to Maps of Meaning for the umpteenth time. The very fact that a general problem has gripped and assimilated the whole of a person is a guarantee that the speaker has really experienced it and perhaps gained something from his sufferings. He will then reflect the problem for us in his personal life and thereby show us a truth. Carl Gustav Jung. If you're listening to this Culture Matters podcast, go listen to episode 1 of this series, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th. And we will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast.